everyone, it's your girl Gel Beauty 87 here, and today we are gonna get into some palettes I regret buying. So, have you ever had a palette when like you saw it, you looked at it, you really wanted to try it, you had heard some good reviews, some bad reviews on it, or you had heard all good reviews on it, and you had been wanting to try it forever, so you bought it, or it was a brand you wanted to try, and you finally bought it, and then you were totally disappointed, and you're like, why did I buy this crap? Like, I should just kept my money in my pocket. Why did I buy any of this? I don't even understand why. That is what today's video is about. So I'm gonna start off with like the high-end stuff and like influencer stuff, and then I'll move into the luxury stuff. So we're gonna do the luxury stuff last, because believe it or not, I got about, well, it's mainly just 2 brands of luxury stuff that I was disappointed in. The rest of it is just like high-end and like YouTuber or whatever. So anyway, let's go ahead and get started. So I'm gonna start off with, and I hate to do this because I love this influencer. I think she's amazing. She seems like a really sweet, nice lady. But this palette, I always talk about this palette when it comes to her brand. So I feel like you already know who I'm talking about. But I am talking about Dominique Cosmetics and the Lemonade palette. I hate this palette. As far as the shimmers go. Now the mattes in this palette are fine. I just legit hate the shimmers in this palette. They think they are terrible. I feel like they get hard pan really quick, and Lily Living Life was talking about that too. She was like, it already had hard pan on it. But I felt like they didn't perform that well before like the hard pan came on these. I don't know what it is. It's only 2 shades in here I really truly love. I mainly like the bottom row and then like these 2 shades right here. Y'all know I like the green as well, but it's like I felt like the shimmers in here performed badly. And the thing is, I got this palette after they claimed they had got all of them fixed and changed the formula. But I'm like, if they did, they didn't change it to anything that was that much better, because it's like I still don't like the shimmers in this palette. I knew the mattes were going to be fine, but I just hate the shimmers in this palette, which is why I regret buying it, because it's like, as you can see, it's quite shimmer heavy. So the fact that the majority of the thing in here are shimmers and then they don't perform that well, it's like a total letdown, because it's like half the palette, which is, I'm like Andrea Montellano. I like, sorry, Montanalo. I'm like her. I like to have more shimmers than mattes in a palette. I don't know why, I just like shimmers. So the fact that this is a palette that is of my design, which has more shimmers than mattes in it, and then the mattes don't then the shimmers don't perform that well, it's just like disappointing. So I love her, and I love all the other palettes I have from her. It's just I don't like this one, and it's all because of the shimmers. So sorry about that, Dominique. I still love you, and I still buy every palette you come out with. It's just that one was a true letdown for me. So next I have the Too Faced Tutti Fruity Razzle Dazzle Berry Eyeshadow Palette. Now I love the formula of all these little palettes. I have every little palette that they have like this. They have that papaya one. I have that. They have the pineapple one. I have that. And then, of course, I have this one, as we see. But I don't like the way... I don't like this shade right here, and I don't like the way the mattes in this palette perform compared to the pineapple one. And as you can see, there's only like one true matte that'll really work for my skin tone, this one, and then I don't like the way it performs. So it's like the shimmers in here are nice, which is why I keep it, but I don't like this glittery sequin shade right here. I feel like it did a terrible job as far as like deepening up the crease and all that. And then this one, I feel like, as you can see, I feel like you can see the ridge marks in there from when I dug into it quite a bit, and it just didn't work out well for me. So it's like I don't use a lot of the shades in here, and then the only one matte that I can use doesn't work that well, and it's just a disaster. So this is my least favorite one, and y'all know I love purple. So if I'm saying a purple palette is bad, I figure it's got to be bad. I've heard lots of people saying they didn't like those formulas as a whole. I like the formula. It's just the formula for that particular color I felt like was totally disappointing. So let's get into some Urban Decay. So believe it or not, I put the Urban Decay Born to Run in here as far as the palette I regret buying. Now let me explain why. Because the formula in this palette is like their best formula. I definitely agree with everybody that says that. It's just this is a boring, muted color story. Like I like maybe this row right here, and y'all know I don't even mess with oranges like that. And then the rest of them are like muted out or washed out versions of colors I would actually like to be more vibrant. So it's just kind of like, it's the formula of it is amazing, but like the color story is just bad. Like the Spotlight palette from OPV Beauty, I would definitely recommend to you over this one, because I feel like they have similar color stories, but I like the formula of this one way better. Like the shimmers, as far as I'm concerned, around here are way better than the shimmers in the Urban Decay one, because they're just really muted and boring. The shimmers in this one are nice, and since this is a black owned brand, you know, obviously the mattes in here are like more brown girl friendly than the ones I just showed you in this one, because as usual they had to put like 2 or 3 of those shades that I can't use. Matter of fact, it's like 4 all the way across, because we know I don't really care about gold. So as far as I'm concerned, this goes with the rest of them. And then I found this one to be too light to do too much of anything with. I'd have to like dust it across my lower lash line as a pop pop of color after I put like a pencil in the waterline or something. So like overall, like the color story of this just isn't that great. The formula is nice, but it has muted versions of what's in the Spotlight palette, and I really just use the Spotlight palette. So that's why this is a regret purchase from me. Not to mention, because this palette is so old, y'all like to see new palettes from me, so it's like it'll be no point of trying to bring this out and use it again. I might, when they have a 50% off sale or something, just so you can get an idea what look you can get as a brown girl. But as a general rule, I don't like that palette. I don't ever reach for that palette. I don't care about that palette, so I just keep it for like reference, honestly. And it's one of the few Urban Decay palettes I do like. And as I always tell you all, since I rarely like any Urban Decay palettes I do try, when I get them, I usually have a tendency to hold on to them just because it's something from Urban Decay I actually like, and that's a rarity here. Okay, so next things I have are a couple of Huda Beauty palettes. So Huda, I feel like she has a lot of hit and misses when it comes to eyeshadows. Like I love the new Nudes palette. It's amazing. It seems like she only does well with like nude palettes or like smoky palettes. It seems like whenever she tries to do like color or anything like that, people have a tendency not to like it unless it's like the grungy colors, like those jewel tone, amethyst and topaz and all that they did. And I've still seen a lot of people decluttering those too. So it seems like she can only do nudes and nobody else. I don't know. So let's see. I got the I got the neon palette from Huda Beauty. This is the green one. This is terrible. Like, I'm so sorry. This is absolutely terrible. I like the shimmers in here, which is the only reason I keep it. And plus, I keep it for reference. I didn't buy it at a regular price. I bought it at 50% off. So I can tolerate having it in my collection because I know I didn't pay her the $29 for this because this is terrible. I think I bought all 3 colors when they had the 50% off sale because I wasn't just going to buy them at regular price because I was like, those colors are nice. But I know I didn't like the emerald palette that much after I bought it. I ended up decluttering it and giving it to my cousin. So I was like, I'm not going to keep buying these little bitty baby palettes and they suck. So I waited till it was 50% off. That way I was like, if I try it, I don't like it that much, then it's not that big a deal. I mean, I still regret buying it just because I thought these were going to be more like impactful colors. And she has a tendency to want to always give you toppers. It's like, bitch, I don't want toppers. I want actual shades with, you know, like color in them. So it's like I should have trusted my first mind after I bought this second palette here now after having dealt with this one. But alas, here we are. So clearly I did not. I have the Mercury Retrograde by Huda Beauty. Everybody's talking about how nice and wonderful this palette was. But again, the shimmers in here are like toppers. I don't know why the hell she thinks everybody wants toppers. No, we want impactful shimmers, not glittery topper-esque shades. If she can get that through her thick skull, then maybe I'll consider buying some more palettes from her if she comes out with some more during the holidays or something. But it's like this, like all the cool shades are just random toppers, and then like the regular shades are this one is broken, that's why it looks like that. Mine came broken. I bought it from somebody at a discount who ordered it and got it broken. But yeah, this one that's another reason I'm not super mad about it, because I only paid like 30 bucks for this palette on Poshmark because the girl's shade right here was broken, and I guess she got in contact with Sephora or whoever or Huda herself website and just got a new one sent to her and just sold me this one, which is fine because again, as y'all saw, that was a boring champagne shade, so I didn't give a damn and I wasn't gonna use it. But like, I regret having this palette in my collection because I don't want to have a whole bunch of toppers. Like, this one's a topper, this one's a topper. I think this one actually has some shimmer, but it's like, y'all know I'm not that I'm not a blue-green person, but like, because I am a blue-green person, I was more concerned about this shade right here. And then when I found it with the topper, I was like, what the hell? So this palette was just a disappointment to me. Not to mention it has, as usual, a whole bunch of shades I can't use. Like, it's that shade, that shade, that shade. And then she has nerve charged $67 for this. For what? For toppers and some shades I can't use. And then some bright neon I'm going to have to work leaps and bounds to make work on my skin tone. I don't think so. That's why I'm so glad I only paid 30 bucks. Because otherwise, y'all, I'd have been having all types of attitudes. So next, we have Miss Charlotte Tilbury. But remember, I have been telling y'all about her from the beginning. I feel like she's like overhyped and overpriced. I don't like anything that's from her that is for the eyes. I just think they're all terrible. So I can't be bothered. This is the Icon palette. I heard Mel Thompson raving about this palette. I tried it like 3 times. The third time I used it, I actually halfway liked it. But it's like, I had to do a whole bunch of stuff to make it look the way I wanted it to look. And I was like, I don't feel like I should have to do all that just to get an eye look out of a palette, when there's plenty of other palettes I can just use and they'll work without having to do like this, that, and the third in order to get it to work the way I wanted to. So that's why this is a disappointment. I heard it was limited edition, but they still sell it to this day. So I don't know if a lot of people were like me and didn't like the formula of it and wasn't impressed by it. And that's why they still have a whole bunch in stock so they can still sell it, because it was supposed to be limited edition and it's still on sale. So I don't know. Then I have the Luxury Eye color coded eye shades. Y'all know I had to get the blue one, so this is super blue. And of course, this is the one that all the people that love her eyeshadows and rave about said was the worst one. So I'm like, of course, the only one I would want to buy from you, you made crappy. I used this. I thought this color didn't blend out well and was patchy. This shimmer I don't think was that impactful. You have to put like a black base underneath it or something like that to make it really pop the way you want to. And again, I'm not trying to do a whole bunch of extra work, especially when you charge a $54 for this little baby quad. It needs to just work, not have me do all this extra work. So I am definitely disappointed by this. Now, mind you, I did not pay $54 for this at all. I definitely would not have. I think I paid like, I think it was like $39, and then I think it was $39 with a 20% off sale that they had on Net-a-Port's website. So that's the only reason I ended up with this one. And I got it pretty recently after it came out, so I was blessed enough to catch that at $39 instead of paying $54 like everybody else. I wouldn't have paid $54 for it just because I already had the Icon palette and I knew the formula wasn't something I was crazy about, but I was trying to give her a second chance. And since the Icon palette I feel like doesn't have any mattes in it, and I knew there was going to be that one little matte shade in there, I figured I'd give her a chance to try out her mattes, but I just was not impressed at all. But somehow I still in love with the the Pillow Talk palette. So we'll see how that goes. I only ended up with that palette because it was 50% off on Net-a-Port, so I think I got it for like $34. So I was like, I'll try it out, especially since everybody seems to love Pillow Talk. But there's only like one little quad on the end that I can use. And the crazy thing is I paid more for this than I paid for her entire palette. But that says to me that people are getting tired of Pillow Talk, or the palette wasn't as great as she thought it was going to be, or people just wasn't willing to pay her $58 for it, which I don't blame them because I haven't liked any of the eyeshadows I tried from her. So I don't know why I keep trying. I think after that palette, if it doesn't work, I'm going to just be like, look, I'm done, sis. You have a great day and be blessed. But no, ma'am, no. Okay, so the next Natasha Denona palette I have, you might be a little surprised by, and it's not to say that I regret buying this palette. It's just more of I regret the formula she put in this palette. So I ordered mine before I had found out that it was that cream formula that she has in the Metropolis palette, because I don't like that formula at all. I think it's terrible. But this is the Natasha Denona Love palette. So I love the color story of this palette. Like, it's a beautiful color story, but I don't like the fact there's so many of those cream shades in it, because I don't like the cream shades. Like, this purple I really like, it's a cream shade. This color that I used is a cream shade. Then the red I like in this palette is a cream shade. It seems like everything I want to use is a cream shade. Like this shade right here, it's a cream shade. I'm like, is everything in this palette cream shade? Sure, this Heartbeat shade is a cream shade. So I'm like, everything in here I feel like it's a cream shade. And it's like, I don't want cream eyeshadows. I want just, you know, plain eyeshadows. So the fact that that was a cream, it like totally turned me off. So the color story of this is beautiful, but the fact that like it's all those damn cream shadows and I don't like her cream formula is just horrible. Like, y'all remember when she tried to sneak it in us on the cranberry palette and everybody was returning it and saying it was terrible, and it ended up being 50% off on Sephora and all that because people were talking about how the formula had a flaw in it. It's like, no, she was just trying to sneak that cream formula on us, and she hadn't perfected it to where people can tolerate it like they do now, and it's trash. And they didn't say that, and then they just re-released it later, and that's when we found out that she had tried some cream formula on us and ain't nobody like it. Because I remember Paulina Beauty was talking about how she had tried that palette and how hers was defective, and they sent her another one. Was like, no, sis, it was that cream formula she's been pushing these last two palettes that, you know, I don't want to be bothered with, but she didn't tell us it was that, and they just refunded you and sent you another one. I don't know, but next palette I have is the Lila palette. Now, I know you're probably shocked about this because we all know I love purple eyeshadow, but I don't know if it's the tones of purple in here or the way the palette performed, but I did get this on sale for like, I think 40 or 50% off, so I'm thinking it was close to expiration, and that's why I got it for such a good deal, and that's why I don't necessarily like the formula of it, because the gold palette works just fine, but I've never tried the sunset one just because y'all know it's a boring palette to me as I sit up here with colors that are in the sunset palette on. But you know, I tried to give y'all something different today instead of the same blue, green, purple like I would normally do, so that's why we got on the yellow and the brown. But anyway, I don't like the formula of this. Some of the shimmers in there are okay, but it's like I wasn't impressed with the formula of the mattes in here. Even though it looks like I only used one matte. Yeah, I only used this matte right here, and I think I swatched that one right there. But I don't know, I wasn't impressed with it the first time I used it, so I have literally not picked this up since like the first, I think, video I did on it a while ago, just because, I don't know, I guess mine was close to expiration, and that's why I wasn't impressed by it, and that's why, you know, it's here. Now, the last one, I feel like you should be in no shock of whatsoever. When I ranked her palettes, I talked about how terrible this palette was. I had it on my eyes to show you how terrible it was. The pigmentation was awful. It like blended away to nothing on my skin tone. And then the bottom row, which is the row that everybody gave a damn about and was excited about, was trash. So, needless to say, I feel like we all know I'm talking about the Natasha Denona Tropical palette. This palette is absolutely dreadful. Like, while Mel Thompson talking about the Safari palette is terrible. No, this is the worst Natasha Denona palette I have ever used in my life. This is terrible. First of all, we already know it's a whole bunch of shades here I can't use. So let's start with that. Where the hell am I going with this? 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 Yeah, no, I'm not going anywhere with any of those shades. So it's already 3 to 4 shades in here I can't use. Then these are more like topper shades, so they don't really do too much. And then the bottom row, which is the row that people like me who use color care about, is trash. Like, it's horrible. I saw Lily Living Life doing a look with this like a while ago, and that was when Bad Habit had came out with their dupe, so that's why I didn't bother buying this. But then I caught this during the what sale was that? I think I caught this during the 4th of July sale, or it was Memorial Day sale, where it was 50% off. So I was like, okay, I'll try it for that. And then I think somehow I ended up with a coupon that gave me extra 15 or 20% off because I had bought some stuff, and you know how they have that buy it now, you get a percentage off later. I did that. So that's how I ended up getting this. I ended up getting it for, I think, like $55, and I still feel like that was too much. I mean, if this bottom row had worked the way I wanted it to, and maybe this chocolate brown and these shimmers had worked, and that would have worked okay, then I'd have felt like, you know, the $55 was fine. But the fact that the majority of the stuff is trash still doesn't warrant the $55 for this, because it's like you got a small trio or a small 5-pan palette but these exact same colors in it, where I wouldn't need this palette because even you know it's trash. So these are my luxury and high-end palettes I regret buying. If you all want, we can do a drugstore version of this, just so you can see like which drugstore brands I'm not really that fond of when it comes to eyeshadow, even though I feel like if you watch my past videos, you kind of have an idea of that. But we can pull some out if you want. Just let me know down below. But I hope you all enjoyed this video. Remember, you all are diamonds. I have more of this to come, because I have some palettes from my grandmother's house that I sent over there that I don't really use it often, but sometimes when I film I might have an idea on the spot, and I want to make sure I have like that brand there. So it's like I have more of some of these brands actually over there in palettes that I don't like. So we can do a part 2 if you want, and then I can show you some more luxury and high-end stuff that I wasn't that fond of, if this is entertaining to you, because it's kind of entertaining to me, but at the same time it's sad, because it's like I had spent all this money on all this stuff and I don't even like it. But I mean, as long as it's entertaining for you, I guess it was a fraction of it worth it. And I can always like sell them on Mercari or something like that. I always leave Mercari down below with all the stuff that I declutter, because I don't declutter eyeshadow palettes on camera, just because I feel like, you know, y'all will always be mad because I probably declutter like maybe 5 or 7, and y'all know I have an extensive collection. If you haven't seen my makeup collection video of all my eyeshadow palettes, it's quite extensive. I was thinking about doing one for my foundations and concealers and stuff too, but I don't know if anybody cares about that sort of thing. Oh, and by the way, the foundation I have on right now is the Oma Beauty foundation and concealer in the shade, I know the concealer is in Brown Sugar T2. I think the foundation is Brown Sugar T3. I don't know, but I did a review on this if you're interested in like what color I wear. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I hope you all enjoyed this video. Remember, you all are diamonds. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Oh, and I have Dope Taupe on by Minted on the lips if anybody cares about that. See you guys in the next one. Bye.